What's going on, everybody? DJ Chance here. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a deep dive tutorial and review for this, the Rane 1 Mark II. I'm going to do a deep dive into all of its new features and showing you all of the features that this now comes with. This is going to be a long one, folks. This thing is capable of so much, so make sure you're nice and comfortable. You're not going to be disturbed for a little while. I'm going to put chapters in the description below, so this way you can skip to a specific area that you want to study or a specific area of something you need to know about this controller. You can just skip right ahead to that. So be sure to look down in the description below for the chapters. So let's get right into it. The very first thing we're going to start off is the party trick of the spinning platters. Now, motorized platters are nothing new. The Rane 1 had it originally. There was a Newmark spinning platter controller called the NS7. There were 3 different iterations of that one. So spinning platters have been around for a while, but now it's been perfected. The Rane Performer also feels that way, the Pioneer Rev 7. So we're going to start off with the spinning platters. Now, the very first thing that I noticed when I opened this up and saw the control record surface was that it looks exactly like the Rane 12's record, except in 7-inch form, because this is a 7-inch top. It's an 8-inch platter. It just gave me a warm feeling since I'm familiar with the Rane ecosystem. I used to work for Rane. I was one of their DJs. So seeing their continuity be continued through their controllers is just a nice little attention to detail, nice little touch. On top of the control surface vinyl, there is what looks like a 45 RPM adapter. This has a little button on it that you would press to remove this record off of the spindle. I'm going to take that off, and you'll see in right there, you see that the button is right there, and inside when I press it, you see that little ball bearing. It goes in, and that's what keeps it nice and tight onto the spindle. Another thing I want to mention is the grooves. The grooves on here are much higher off of the platter. They feel deeper than what was on the Rane 1. It definitely looks different. You've got like 3 separate sections where the Rane 1 had a different surface. You'll also notice that this is all one piece. They bolted on that 45 RPM adapter looking thing for some weird reason. It's got 3 screws, so maybe if you have a record that breaks, you can get a replacement from Rane and then screw this back onto that record. I'm not sure what that's about. Or you want to butcher your own control record and poke some holes in it and screw this onto a different colored record. Maybe you get some records made that have your logo on them. Not quite sure, but that would be my guess. I'm going to put that to the side, put it on top of the other record. And you'll see here we have a very, very thin slip mat. Let me try to get a good camera angle so you can just tell, like MC Light, how paper thin that is. There it is. It's a nice slippery mat. I'm very satisfied with it so far. You'll notice that I'm pulling off this little spindle slip mat. I'm not sure what they call this. I'm calling it a spindle slip mat. It just provides a nice slicker surface when you're doing back cueing or scratching. You definitely feel the difference if you're only using the slip mat and you pop one of these on. Now, Rane sent 4 of these. There's 2 per platter. So if you really want to spin that record back into the Stone Age and put that little beak from that bird on it like the Flintstones cartoon, that's what you do. You put both of these things on there and your slip mat and it'll spin forever. Now the platters are 8 inches across. You have a 7-inch surface, which is the same size as a 45 record, which is what they've given you here. So if you're already a DJ that's familiar or likes playing with 45s, this will be a very familiar feel to you. Now I'm going to show you how to take off the platter and put it back on, because when you get this the first time at home, you have to put the platters on yourself. They come in their own separate boxes. So I'm going to put my fingers in the 2 holes. And it's got the nice circles on it that we're all familiar with, the good old Technique 1200 look that every turntable has stolen. With the exception of Hercules, they put triangles on theirs on their T7. Also underneath, you'll notice that there's no anti-vibration rubber on here like you would see on many pro-level turntables. That's because this is the digital realm. You don't have a needle that's going to jump or vibrate, no wow and flutter. So you don't need it. What you do see is that it's a unibody construction. It is a very heavy platter, nice solid aluminum. Now next to the 2 finger holes here, you're going to see these 2 pins. Now these two pins luckily are lined up with these holes. That was good attention to detail, because these pins you need to insert into the two holes that are on the turntable right there. You'll see a hole there, you see a hole there. So now I'm going to guide this on because my fingers are right where the holes are. And a nice satisfying thunk there, very solid. Now we'll put my little slip ring back on. Maybe that's what it's called, a slip ring. Why didn't I think of that before? Now talking about the platter, you'll notice that the start and stop button is flashing in green. That's letting you know that there is a track loaded on this deck. It's ready to go. So you can just hit start, and now it's a non-flashing solid green. That's because your track is now playing. And you stop it, and you can adjust its stop time. You have the stop knob right here, so you can adjust your speed. So if I'm playing a track, and I can turn it all the way, and it'll just spin very slow to a stop. Pretty much it's like if I powered down. So you can adjust it to the braking that you're comfortable with, that you like the most. I leave it around the 1. I like a nice quick little brake. Another thing with the platters is that there is a torque button on the rear of the unit that gives you an adjustment for high and low torque. I personally have it on the high position. See the button right there? It says motor torque. Another adjustment that you have on this controller for the platters is right here. You see that this is labeled pitch bend, minus and plus. You know, that takes the place of you having to hold the spindle to speed up or slow a record down a little bit while you're beat mixing. But underneath that, if you hold down the shift button, you can put a 33 RPM speed of the platter, which comes by default, or you can choose 45 RPM. So again, if you're someone who DJs with 45s and are used to the feeling of the motor going that fast, you can adjust it. So I'll start it, I'll hold down the shift button, and you'll see that it's lit up right here. That means it's 33 RPM. The button next to it's 45. It'll be like this. You see how that's lit up? And you can also hear it, that it's in 45. And it's going to stay at 45 until I hit shift and put it back to 33. I'll put the song back on so I can do the pitch bend. You see how it's slowing down because I'm holding the minus down. And I'm going to do the plus. That way you can dial in just the right perfect beat mix. Now the shift button controls so many features on this controller. Pretty much every button on this controller does something else when you hold down the shift button. You can look, just go around this as you're staring at it, and you'll see there's little writing underneath most buttons. That means that you can access a separate menu or a separate function for that particular button. If you look up at the sensor and silent Q button, underneath it also says reverse. This way you can make the platter spin backwards for as long as you want to do it. But in order to do that, you have to hold down the shift and then press reverse. So let's play the track forward. Now I'm going to hold down the shift button and hit that sensor silent Q reverse button. And now it's playing backwards. So if you want the reverse to stop, you hold down the shift and you press the button in one more time, and now it'll play forward. We're going to come back to that sensor and silent Q button once I reach the top section of the turntable section of this controller. And over here we have the always controversial sync button. I'm tired of talking about it after the past 25 or so years that we've had this. You know, this is the career ender according to other DJs. You hit that button, your career is done. You've never DJ'd in your life. You can never claim to be one again. No matter if you got 40 years in, you hit that button, it's over, done, finito. Be careful how you use this button, and God forbid another DJ sees you do that. They're going to report you to like the DJ Union or the ADJA. Probably why they made the sync button so tiny on this controller. It still lights up blue, So you can still notice it, but I guess it's a change from the bright red that every other controller had up until recent times. But if you do find sync useful, and you do use it, if you want to do your own transitions and you don't want to go out and purchase another DJ's transition that he made, I don't get the hypocrisy of doing that. So if I want to do a transition, let's say live, and I use the sync button to do that, that's not cool. But we can go and buy another DJ that made a transition track in an audio program. He didn't do it live and manually. They did it in a program. That's okay. That gets a thumbs up. But if I hit the sync button to try it live at a wedding or something, oh, that's a thumbs down. As I said, my career's over. I'm done. All my subscribers will go away because I hit the button. But if you are using it, you would just play two different tracks. Let's see, I've got one that's a specific speed and one that's another speed. Let's sync them up. Let's do this side. And this side, I've got 57 beats per minute. So now I'm going to hit the sync button. So there you go. You hear the sync button. It's synced perfectly, instantly. If you want to shut off the sync button, even if you hit it by accident, let's say, because that's possible. I've seen that happen, actually. So you would hold down the shift, hit the sync button, and sync is now off. So again, the shift button does many things around the controller. So if you ever have a controller, whether it's this one or another one, and you see a button that has an upper and lower writing or a symbol, that means that button does something else and you need to use the shift button to do that. It's not necessarily exclusive to a Rane controller or a Pioneer controller. And right next to that flashing, you see the Q button there, but underneath it also has two arrows and a little line. So your Q button can be a Q button. You could actually load up a 9th point on your track. So let's say you have all 8 of your hot cues already programmed for your track. You can just set the cue to be the beginning of the song, wherever it is, or somewhere that you didn't have in a hot cue pad. The only thing is if you do use the Q button as a 9th hot cue like that, once you turn off the controller, it's not going to save that cue point there. So just be aware of that when you restart your performance or restart your controller at another gig. You would have to put the cue point in manually again. I'm going to play this track. Now I'm going to load another song. All right, now I'm going to hold down the shift and double click the cue button while I'm holding shift, and it'll go back to the previous track. See that? Now the start stop button is a substantial button. It is a hard plastic button. It has like a brushed aluminum sticker or maybe a skin they put on it to make it feel like the metallic ones we're used to on our turntables, specifically a Technique 1200 with the big square start stop button. And it moves a little bit. That worries me a little bit. I feel like it shouldn't move, but the caveat of that is I've had my Technique 1200s for 40 years, start-stop button still works, even though it moves slightly like that. Will this stand the test of time by then? Absolutely not, because if you know anything about Rane, at some point, they stop supporting older pieces of gear. So you're not going to be using the Rane 1 MK2 in 20 years. No. You're going to have a whole different thing by then. So you have a nice visual indicator there that you do have a track loaded. Now, when you get towards the end of a track, within the final 20 seconds of a song, I'm going to put it at, 27 seconds. That's close enough. You're going to see it's flashing green. Once it hits 20 seconds left on the track, it starts to flash red. So that's your visual indicator that your song is ending. You get a track end warning, as they call it in Serato's software. And it looks something like this. Now it'll start to flash red. There it is. That's letting you know that your track is ending. So not only does it pull double duty with start and stop, it also does it with two different color lights. And that's a great visual indicator, especially if you're someone coming into DJing now, and you may have seen several controllers that have screens in the middle of the control surface or the platter surface. This doesn't have that. You just have the records, so you need something to tell you there's a track end warning. I mean, you can look at your laptop and you'll see it there, but more often than not, you're probably looking this way out to your crowd, down on your controller, out to the crowd, probably not staring at a laptop screen. Another cool thing that the shift button can do, and you're probably not going to find this in any other video or any manual, I haven't seen it yet, but there are hundreds of these out there, so someone might have done this already. If you hold down the shift button and move your up fader or your crossfader while holding down the shift, you get a fader start. So let me show you how that works. I can hold down shift. Well, let me open the crossfader. Hold down shift. You see immediately when I put the volume down, the platter stops spinning. You see it's much sharper with the crossfader, but you do have a fader start here. And I love that it works with spinning platters. I haven't really seen that before. We've had fader start technology for years, but not this good. At least I haven't experienced one this good, this precise. And then to do it with a motorized platter, that's just fantastic. I love that feature. Over here to the side, we've got the tempo slider to control your tempo, or pitch control as it used to be known. It's not really pitch control anymore. It's a tempo adjustment or a tempo slider. Back in the old days when you had turntables, when you moved your pitch slider, it would actually change the pitch of the song. It would sound like, you know, the Chipmunks were singing if you went too fast, or it would do this if you went too slow. So having key lock or master tempo that pioneered has been a great feature for the last, 30 years. It was probably the mid-90s when the CDJ 300 and 500 came out. You have a full 100mm tempo slider here, and that's great. You get to dial in the perfect mix with a long throw tempo slider like this. I do appreciate that they put a light at the 0, kind of like with Technique 1200s, you had the green light there. My only issue is I hate detented tempo sliders. They drive me nuts because the amount of space it takes for you to move this to be off of 0 is way too much. Like, I'm past the line, I'm still moving it, there it goes, the light turned off. I go back a hair, it's back on, but I still have to move it. I'm not in the detented position. Now I'm detented, and even going backwards, it's the same thing. See, I'm getting pretty close to that first line after 0. There it is, it's gone. See, the light's turned off. So now your increments are going to be moving from there to a more precise mix. Just be aware of that. I wish they would do away with the detent. I get why it's there. It's a tactile feeling. I just don't like it. I wish it was a defeatable thing, kind of like what they did with the record here. Like, you know, it's got a little ball bearing. That's what keeps it tight, kind of like they have it to detent there. It'd be nice if there was a button on the side that I could press and take off that detent. That would be fantastic. Now, the slip effect I never cared for. What it is let's say you're playing a track and you decide to do a scratch on the track live. Once you let your finger off of the platter, the track is going to start playing from where it would have been had you not been scratching. So let's give that a shot. Let's hold down the shift. We're going to turn off the motor first. You see it lit up. The motor's off. So now the entire platter is for nudging. So I'll hit the shift again. Turn the motor back on. Now I'll just tap the slip button. See, I'm scratching. See, it started at some spot further in the song. Tapping the range button changes the speed of your pitch slider. So you get plus or minus 8%, plus or minus 16, and plus or minus 50% at its max. So it's always going to turn on at plus or minus 8%. So just be aware of that when you turn it on. When you last did your last gig, let's say you had it at 50%, it's not going to reopen with plus or minus 50. You'd have to do that on the fly at your gig or at your performance or your live stream. So if I want to change it to plus or minus 16, I would just tap it once more. You see the light lights up brighter when I change the tempo speed. Tap it once more, it's at plus or minus 50. Let's play a track so I can show you how fast it changes. You hear how it sounds slow and fast because we turned the key lock off. We did shift. Now the key stays.
Dark side, light this bitch up.
So it's up all the way at 8%. Now I'm going to tap the button again. You're going to hear it get faster. Now I'll tap it again. I'm going to get 50%. And as you heard, the key lock is just shift and hitting the range button, and then you have done your key lock. Alright, up next we're going to get into the performance pad section. The first one, it's the one that's ubiquitous with every controller out there, and the first button is always generally going to be your hot cues. The hot cues are just parts of the song where you hit the button on a specific point that you wanted, and this button will light up letting you know that there is a hot cue in that button. You see these three are unlit. I have 3 free spaces to do new hot cues. Let's say I want to start it right with the first button. Second button. So you get what you can do there. You can drum with the pads. You can just skip through parts of the song you want to get past. So let me set a cue point so you can see what that's like. So I want that sound right there, the little guitar. I'm going to put it right here in this button. It's very simple. You just hold the song where you want it. It's right there, and I hit the button. You see the button is lit up? It will now always trigger that part of the song until I delete it. Now if I want to delete any hot cue at all, you're going to hold down shift and touch the cue point that you no longer want. So let's get that out of the hot cues. There it is, it's gone. You now have 3 available spaces for hot cue for this particular deck that I'm using right now. Next up, we have the saved loops section. Now, as you can see, there is nothing lit up here. I have no saved loops for this particular track. Now, let me show you how to save a loop. I'm going to set a loop right here. Depending on how you have it configured on your Serato DJ software screen, depends on how many beats of a loop you're going to have here. Now, my first press of the button, I'm getting a 4-beat loop. Let's take a listen to that really quickly. Alright, now if I want to save that as a saved loop, I would hold down this button right here. Now you see it lit up. I have a saved loop. The great thing about that is no matter where you are in the song, let's let go of that loop. Let's just spin this to some random spot of the song. If I want to get back to that loop, I would hold down the shift and the button. You see that it's green. It's ready to be triggered. So I'll hold down the shift and press the button. Now we're in the loop. As you can see, the button is now lit up blue because that corresponds to the color you're going to see in your Serato DJ software as a loop. Let me show you what that looks like. You can see right there that it's lit up in blue. That's letting you know that it's a loop. And if I want to let go of the loop, I would just hit the button again. Now it's green. It's letting you know that it's ready to be looped at any point that you like. And that's it for the saved loop. The next feature is one that I personally use a lot, and that is the roll function. Let me show you what that sounds like. And that's basically your roll feature. Now this also is going to correspond with how you have it set up in the Serato DJ software. So right now on these buttons I have it set to 1/8, a quarter, a half beat, 1 beat, 2 beat, 4 beat, 8 beat, and a 16 beat loop. And if I were to drag over in the software one more position, these will now be a quarter, a half, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32 beats right here. And let me show you that section. You can see this section right here. You see those buttons there. You see how it says quarter or whatever. So if I move it over, so if I click this arrow right here, it's going to move the parameters over. You see now it's an eighth, now it's a quarter, now it's a half. That's going to correspond to the button I hit. So now let's say this 6th button here, because there's a row of 4 up top and then 5, and this one is 6. If I hit that one, it'll give me a loop. Now I'll hit the 6th button. Now I have a loop. See how it's lit up in blue in the waveform? And how the button is lit up in blue? And I let it go, the loop is over. Alright, and that's it for your roll section. It'll match whatever you have on your screen. I personally like to use the half beat, the quarter beat, and the 1/8 beat, which is these. Next up in the performance pads, we have the sampler section. Now the sampler button is exactly what it sounds like. These are samples you have set up, whether from a song, whether from some battle record that has a sound you want to use. Maybe you recorded your own voice. You can put an entire song on a sampler button if you'd like and use that as basically a third deck. Let's say you've got 2 acapellas you want to do with an instrumental. Load that instrumental in your sample button. Trigger it to latch so it'll keep playing. It won't just stop when you let go of the button, so you'll want to latch it if you want to do that, and you've kind of cheated and given yourself a third deck there. DJ Chance. And that's basically your sample. You can set up anything you'd like there at all. You also have 4 banks of samples, so you have a lot of room for samples. You can store up to 32 samples if you'd like. And let me show you what that looks like in the software. You'll see right there that it shows you, it says DJ Chance, then it's got the T-Rex, then you've got Godzilla. But I've got 4 blank banks there, and right here you see it says A, B, C, D. Those are your 4 banks of 8 samples. So you can sample the hell out of whatever you want to do and store it in the software. Stems is the last labeled button here. If you don't know what stems is, stems gives you the ability to remove a vocal from a track, the melody of a track, the bass of a track, and the drums of a track. So you can make yourself an acapella, you can make yourself an instrumental just by removing parts of the stems. This first button is going to be your vocal button, the second button is going to be your melody, the third button is your bass, and your fourth are your drums. Now you see they're lit up top, and on the bottom they're not lit up. That's because that's giving you stem effects. You have a vocal echo here. You'll only echo the vocal as it says. Instrumental echo, the instrumental breaker, and your drum echo. Let me let you listen to what all of those sound like. That is the instrumental breaker, as you heard. Let's put the vocals back on. That's your vocal echo. your instrumental echo. And that is the drum echo. Now you can pick and choose which of these effects get used on which one of these buttons. And there you go, those are your stem effects. Now, even though you see no other writing on these 5 buttons going across in the performance pad sections, they do give you another layer of things you can do with these buttons. If I double tap the hotkey button, I'm going to go into pitch play mode. You see now all the buttons are red except for the first one, because that's letting you know that's exactly where the song is right now in your pitch play. This is basically 0, and then these are your pitch play buttons that you can use to play around with the pitch. So if we play this song, and this is pitch play, you're going to go up a few notches and down a few notches. Nice, right? You got a little bonus feature there you didn't know about. And that is your pitch play mode when you double tap hot cue. Now if you double tap saved loop, you are now in auto loop mode, which is basically like the roll. It's going to do exactly what I showed you on the screen. Where you have those 8 buttons set up are going to correspond with what these 8 buttons do. I have this set up as 1/8 of a beat, a quarter beat, half beat, 1 beat, 2 beat, 4 beat, 8 beat, 16 beat. So let's do an auto loop. And that is basically your auto loop feature. Under the saved loops, double tap, you got your auto loops. Now when you're in saved loop mode, the top row buttons here are going to be useful for your loops. Like for me, I use the 1 beat, the half beat, the quarter beat, and then a 1/8 beat. This second row can be eliminated completely if I go to the beat jump controls inside the Serato DJ software. If I click on the cogwheel in the corner, let me show you what that looks like. I click on this cogwheel right there. You're going to see I'm now in preferences. If I go in close, that's about as close as I can get without it being blurry. Well, right there it says show beat jump controls. I will click that. And as you can see now, the bottom row is giving me beat jump controls. You see the buttons are now lit up. The 2 red buttons are the direction you're going to beat jump to. You're going to go backwards with the red. You'll go forward with this red. And this is your plus or minus according to how far you want to go. You can go all the way up to 32 beats as a beat jump. And you control that with this. This is the plus button. This is the minus button. So let's say you're at 32 beats. Now you want to go back to 16. You would press the minus button and you'd be at a 16 beat. And coming up next, if we double tap the roll button, we will now go into stem roll mode. So double tap that. You can see the top row is lit up in yellow. The bottom row is blue. That's where your roll effects are for the stems. The stem lights here are yellow, and that's the vocal, the melody, the bass, and then the drums right there. So you can choose what you want to roll in the song, and let me give you a listen to what that sounds like. And that is the stem roll feature. Very useful feature. I like that you can break it down. It's just another way that you have complete control over your stems. Just excellent. If I double tap the sampler button, we're now in the scratch bank. Now the scratch bank is very useful for scratch DJs or just performance DJs that want to do a little light cutting all the way up to professional level. You can see all the lights are lit up. They are all different sounds or records that I have loaded in here so I can show you what's going on. Now you can load entire tracks into each button, or you can just put a part of it, a sound effect. Now, in order to access each of these, if you are going to scratch, you do have to stop the platter to move on to the next button or the next sound that you're going to load on that particular deck. So here I have this.
Let's get started. You may learn something.
So I can load that, I can load this. As long as the track is stopped, I can load any of these others.
I wanna make it real funk for you. Make a little beat. Make a little beat.
That's my little tribute to Rob Swift right there. If I double tap the stems button, we are now in stem effects mode. And it's just like the stem roll feature. You see the top row is yellow buttons. That's your voice, your melody, your bass, and your drums. And underneath is all the different effects you have. This first button is going to be an echo on the bottom here. The second one is going to be like a roll out. The third is going to be your breaker. And your fourth button is going to be your delay. Let's take a listen. See, you got a nice roll out and echo right there. There goes your echo. Now we're going to do the breaker once the beat starts. Now I can leave the vocal out. Now we're going to hit the last one. There's your delay. And that's your double tap effects in the performance pad mode. Now, this one is an extra bonus feature. I know people are going to ask, can you MIDI map to certain different softwares? And once again, this is useful for Algorithms DJ and Virtual DJ and Serato DJ Lite or DJ Pro right out of the box. So if you're looking for something to MIDI map, Rane has given you a bonus set of buttons that you can program. If I go and hit the shift button and the hotkey button, you can see that right now it's all lit up in blue. What this is a user definable pad mode. You can put
everything you want
on these buttons. The next fantastic feature that this controller has in the performance pad area, it's got a split pad mode. Now, what that is that allows you to load two different types of pad modes on the top row and the bottom row. So I'll hold down hot cue because as you can see, I have hot cues. So I'm going to hold down the hot cue and I'm going to hold down the sampler button. And look at that. That bottom row is now samples. The top row is hot cues. And it'll work with all of these. So you want to have stems at the bottom? No problem. Hit hot cue and stems. There go your stems right there on the bottom with your hot cues. That's an amazing feature right there. Love that. That has got to be one of the best top 10. That's definitely in my top 10 features. Having a split pad mode is just, oh, chef's kiss. Great job, Rane. Now, right next to that, we have the parameters and we have our loop section. Loop section is exactly what you think it is. You just press the button, get yourself a full loop, and then you've got a half and a 2 times button. So you can go half of whatever your loop is. If you have an 8-beat loop, you hit this, you're suddenly at 4 beats. You want to go to 16 beats and you're already at 8, you hit the 2 time button. It'll make you a 16-beat loop. And there is an 8-beat loop. Hit it again, we'll get 16. Now we're in a 16-beat loop. Now if you hold down the shift button and the loop button here, the long one here, like a dash, if you're looking at Morse code, you got the little dot and you got a dash. Well, if you look at that, it says reloop. So no matter where you are in the track, if you want to go back to that looped section that you made, you can hit shift and that button at any point and it'll bring you right back to the loop. Let's start the track over. Now, we're going to do the reloop. Hold down the shift. And there it is. As simple as that. The other thing you can do with these buttons here is if you hold down the shift and press the half button, it controls your loop in point. So that right there, that is your loop in control. You can also do the same for the end of the loop. Same thing you would do, you would hold down the shift and you would hit the loop out button and you can adjust it just like you heard me do, just on the end of that loop. Now if we look up from the tempo adjustment slider, you're going to see you have your range button, which I already covered previously in the video, but right above that, this is again in my top 10 list of features. You've got your instant instrumental, acapella button, and stem effects. So the stem effect is going to be like an echo out. Let me let you listen to what that sounds like. Now I'm in instrumental mode. And I don't know if you caught that there, but the vocal kind of echoed out. So you hear how the beat, I hit the acapella button and the stem effects triggered. You can control that right in the screen here with your parameter button and the joystick. You can make that turn on. And right above the acapella and instrumental buttons, you've got the stop time. Now that's to control the braking speed. Once you hit the stop button and the platter will drag on for all the way for a long time, or it'll stop quickly. So I have it set to about the 1 on this knob. Don't stop. And that's how it stops for me. That's how I like it. But if I were to adjust it, let's say I'll put it right in the middle. We'll start the song and hit the stop and watch how much longer it takes to stop. So you get the idea. Put that back to 1. Let's test it out. Make sure I didn't mess my own thing up. Perfect. Now right above that, you have got an extra set of performance pads. You can load whatever you want up here. You can load, let's say you want to hit your hot cues. I'll hit mode and I'll hit the first button. There's my hot cues right there. Or I can go into my scratch bank. Scratch bank can always be available if I need it to be. I can have my sampler up there, which is how I personally use it. Or I can put my stems up there. So I can have the 4 controls right there instead of having to use these pads down here. That's just fantastic. The other thing that this can do is just like these, if you double tap them, you get an extra set of features. You can use these buttons for it. If I double tap this button, I will go into beat jump mode. I hold down the mode button, Double tap, I am now in beat jump mode. Remember earlier in the video I said that these yellow buttons are the minus and the plus, and then this is the beats that you're going forward or backward. This is forward, this is backward. Hold down mode and the second button, and now I'm in stem roll. Let me give you a listen to what that sounds like. Now, if I double tap again, mode and double tap sampler, I will be in stem effects mode. You can see it's a lighter purple now. It's not the bright purple when it's in sampler mode, so you can differentiate that a little bit. That still might confuse me personally if I tried it, because purple and purple, if I'm just scanning really quickly and I'm in the middle of a hot set, I might hit that button and do something else that I didn't want it to do. Let's take a listen. And there's your breaker. We already covered what this does. You've got your delay, you've got your echo, you've got your rollout. You just have it up here available to you, while you can have up to 4 modes running. If you do split pad mode, you can have this top row be something, this bottom row could be something, this up here can be something, and then you still have access to instant instrumentals or acapellas with the stem effects already on. I mean, you can do it all with this thing. Over to this side, we have the Censor button, or silent Q, or if you hold down shift, it'll make the platter go in reverse. Now the Censor is basically what it says. You usually get a delay if you're at a radio station. You get a few seconds delay, so if you miss, you played a dirty version by accident, or maybe it's not completely clean, maybe it says the word ass, and you know, you want to get that out. You don't want an FCC violation. Hold down the shift, and now it's going in reverse. Instead of being a Censor, I have it set to silent Q. Silent Q is just, it's something I've discovered you just need with moving platter controllers. Have your platter spinning, your fader open, and the song will only activate once you hit one of the hot Q buttons. That's excellent. So I can have it open right here. You see it's flashing. It's in silent Q mode. I changed it from Censor mode here inside the screen. You can control that to be your Censor or your silent Q. And Censor's pretty pointless. To me anyway. I don't do radio. So the silent Q is just perfect. So let's say I have a song playing over on this side. I have my fader open here ready to mix something in. Let's say it's an acapella. And you need to start the beat almost instantaneously with the acapella. Let's say the acapella starts on an upbeat and you want to start your beat on the downbeat, you know, on the 1. You could keep the fader open and nothing will happen till you hit the button like this. I hit it again, it's in silent Q until I hit one of the hot Qs again. And right next to that, we scroll and load area. So we'll use this to scroll through our crates. And let's see if I have a song I find, which is going to be the same song that I'm playing right now. I would just press that in, and it would be loaded on my track. And right underneath that, you have the back button. So let's say right now I'm scrolling through my crate. If I want to press that back button, it'll bring me to my list of crates instead. So now I can scroll through my crate list, and then I can tap it. I get to something I like. Let's say I just press that, and I've got a song ready to go. The other cool thing they added to this is if you hold down the shift button and press that back button, you will load that track into your prepare section on your Serato DJ Pro software. One last thing on the turntable area that I want to point out is these little markers that they have here. They got this line here and a line here. That's really great if you're doing defunk or beat juggling, as people now call it. You've got a visual indicator there and there. This is about where the needle would be. If there was an arm on here, the needle would probably be right there. So you could line up You could line up that line with it. You could line up the Rane thing with it. Up there, it's just great. They really have thought of everything for open format DJs and scratch DJs. This is a great all-in-one piece. All right, now we're going to move on to the mixer section of this DJ controller. And we have to start off with the crossfader and the up faders. You've got the Mag 4 XF that has adjustable tension. There's a little magnet. If you take off this plate here, there's little magnets that's on the up faders and the crossfader, so you can adjust the tension, make it a little more loose, a little more tight, however you like it. Fantastic is the only adjective I can use for this crossfader. It's very, very loose from the factory. I haven't made any adjustments yet. I am going to do that on the video, so stay tuned for that. I'll unscrew the plate, take the plate off, and show you how you adjust the tension. But if you just look at when I slap it across, that's a smooth crossfader, folks. Now the up faders are the same kind of up faders that they have in the Rane Performer. They're the precision feel up faders, which, as I mentioned, have the adjustable tension, and they're dual rail design, so you get a very good feeling of this. It feels substantial. It feels like it's going to last for a very, very long time. Now the up faders can be used for several things. There are several settings inside the menu screen here where you can make these up faders do rolls and filters, and you can do tone play. Alright, so let me show you guys how you take off the faceplate and adjust the tension for the up and crossfaders. First thing you're going to do is remove all of the knobs. So you just pull off those channel fader knobs, crossfader knob, and the effects depth. Now you grab yourself your handy dandy screwdriver. You thought I was going to say notebook. Yeah, you Blues Clues fans, I know you. 4 screws are off. Lift up the faceplate carefully. Put that on the side. This little plate is heavy. That's the great thing about this controller too. Everything is metal. Alright, you can see right there are screws on each of the up faders, and there's one on the crossfader. If you want to loosen it, you go counterclockwise. That's much better. If you want to tighten it back, you would go clockwise. That's very nice. Now my crossfader. Man, now it's really, really loose. Look at that. Basically no tension at all. Once you're satisfied with the feel of your up and crossfaders, just put the plate right back on. Put the knobs right on. Pop the screws back on. And that is how you adjust the tension of your up and crossfaders. Right in between the two up faders, you can also see the effects depth knob. Now, I know this is a point of contention with a few DJs that I've spoken to since this thing was announced. A lot of the scratch-oriented DJs that I know, more into the battle style, they do not like this here. They feel like it's in the way. I personally don't know why, because if I was doing something, scratching, doing a defunct beat juggling, my hands would be coming down here. Even if my finger hit it, it's not going to do anything because it's got a center detent. So I wouldn't really worry about it too much as a scratch DJ, but if it really offends you, then this is something to stay away from and stick with the original Rane 1. It's just basically a wet and dry knob like they used to have on the old 56, the Rane Empath. You could plug in an effects processor. Generally, it would be the Pioneer EFX 500 or 1000 back then, and they had wet and dry knobs with just more effect or less effect. Right above that, you have your two Q buttons, which you can use at the same time if you press both, or you can do one at a time. Press both, you can hear both decks. And then right underneath, you'll see that it says stem level. What that does is it has you use these EQ knobs as a stem control. Your bottom will be for the drums. Your mid will be the mid and melody, and then the high will be your vocal control. Hold down the shift and the Q. Now we'll adjust with the 3 EQ knobs. That's the vocal. We're cutting out the vocal here. Cut out the melody. Cut out the beat. And that is your stem level and your Q buttons. Now right above that we have our effects paddles. That controls all the effects that you're going to trigger, whether on these 6 buttons right here, or you may go into the internal effects that are here. There are 29 of them, the same ones that are on the Rane Performer, so you know they're of good quality. They're very simple to operate. These actually feel really tough. They feel like they're going to last. They feel heavy. I love that when you trigger it, whether you lock it in place or you do like a one hit, that light flashes. That just is a nice visual indicator, just in case you changed a song, you like affected the song out, and then this song's playing, but you forgot to readjust this. When you go to mix again, you'll notice this light flashing in your face, whether it's from the long line there. You see you get it from the top long line, and you also get it from the little light right there in the middle on both sides. So if I want to do an effect, let's see. Or I can do a one hitter. Very simple to operate. They're fantastic feeling in the hands. They're very weighty. They're very textured. So you're not going to slip off of them. They got a really nice tactile feel to them. They don't feel like anything else on this controller. Now, right above that, we have our channel effects. Now, one thing that bugs me about these channel effects is that you have to press the buttons underneath them to activate it, even if you're just using a filter. I'm not quite sure why they put that there, because again, if I'm scratching, I'm coming down to the faders. You know what I mean? I'm not coming up here, so it's not like I'm going straight across where these buttons are in the way. And even if they were in the way, they're center detented, a pretty deep detent as well. You would have to put a lot of force to move this by accident. So that's my real only complaint with this, but you see underneath it says CFX Select. If you hold down the shift button, you can adjust one of 4 different effects you can put into this channel effects knob. So I would hold down shift, I would tap that button, and you see on the screen there it now says filter roll. If I tap it again, there's noise, there's my flanger, I hit it again, then back to filter. Let me show you what they sound like. Basic filter control. Hold down shift, press the button, now we're in filter roll. Press the button again, we now have noise. We're going to hit the button once more, and now we're in the flanger. And there goes your channel effects mode. I'll hit the buttons, and now I won't be able to use them. Let me show you that. See, nothing. You gotta hit the button. Alright, since we covered the stem level control that the EQ knobs can do, let's cover the EQ knobs really quickly. Nothing of note there. They're pretty much what you'd expect. Let's start off with cutting out the bass. Let's take out some mid. You'll still hear a little bit of mid. You see what I'm saying? Now we'll cut out some highs. I'm not sure what their shelving frequency is. I don't know if this is, 100 hertz and that's 3000 and that's 10. I have no idea what those are. Right above that, you have your level control. That just gives you a little extra level, pretty much what it says. So let's say you have your volume control all the way up and you're playing your track and it's too low. You can adjust this level knob here to give you just a little bit more level. So I'm going to put it low and start this track. It's like an extra volume control. You can see only the 3 lights are flashing, and as I turn it up, we're already in the yellow. Stay in the green and yellow, folks. Don't cross over to the red. Next, we're going to go to the A, B, and line switches, which you have up top here. That just chooses your laptops or your line. So let's say you've got a line in, you've got a set of turntables plugged in, you have CDJs or whatever, what have you, and you put it on line. Now, I know it looks like those old switches that used to be on mixers that we used to use in the 80s and 90s to transform. And most mixers, if you see old mixers for sale on eBay or a marketplace, more often than not, you're going to see these line switches are gone. Phono line switches are usually broken off long ago, and people had to actually learn how to do a transformer scratch with a crossfader. So I have it on A, that is my laptop. That makes it easy for transitions. You come on this side and put B, and the next DJ could be at B, and you've got 2 different laptops. Or, God forbid something happens and your laptop freezes, you could have your backup on B. Right underneath that, we have the main volume and the booth volume out. Now, I have the booth there, but I'm not using the booth. I'm actually using the main. My main out goes into my iRig Stream Pro and into this phone. And all that does is just control the volume. You see I'm getting a little lower, lot louder. Now another interesting feature that they added to this is Mic 1 effects. So your very first microphone, you have 2 on this controller. Mic 1 will get effects. It's only 2 basic effects. You get an echo and you get a reverb. And I'm going to give you a listen to what that sounds like. I have it on echo. 1, 2, 1, 2, mic check, 1, 2. Do it in Spanish. Probando, 1, 2. Now, if you want to change, whoops, let's shut that off. If you want to change into the reverb, you would just hold down that mic effects and press up the button. Now we have a reverb, a ridiculous reverb. I don't know why you use this, but yeah. Now you can adjust the parameters of your reverb and your echo. If you can see right there on the screen, it says resonance medium. It's got the beat per minute, so your effects will go to the beats per minute of the track that's playing, or you can tap in a BPM right on the same switch. And you would just adjust that with the parameter dial there. See, now it says resonance high. If you can see that, that's the smallest font in the world. Reminds me of the first time I saw the screen on the S9. I was like, how am I supposed to read that? I have to DJ with 2 microscopes. All right, and then I can go to the low for the resonance and the beats per minute. I can adjust what beat the effect will take. It'll do a 1 beat effect. So let's go back into the effect. Reverb. It has a depth knob. I'm going to move that. Depth, more, less, a lot less, low resonance. Hold the button down. Now we'll go back to echo. Again, we can control the resonance. I'm going to do medium. I'm going to do 3/4 of a beat. Half a beat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. down to a quarter of a beat, eighth of a beat. You can go down all the way to 1/64th of a beat. How high can we go? We can go up to 4 beats. I don't notice the difference. This sounds like just like the 1 beat. 1 beat. 4 beat. 1 beat. Yeah, I don't hear the difference at all. Anyway, it's there if you want to use it. Right underneath the main volume out, we have the hardware and software effects button. Now, right now, when it's in the blue, it's giving you the hardware effects. So that is the effects that are built into the machine, and there are 29 of them, just like what's in the Rane Performer. If you tap the button again, it's going to turn yellow. That means you're now using the effects in your particular DJ software. Now, I only use Serato DJ Pro, so I don't know how this works with, say, Algorithms DJ or Virtual DJ. But just be aware, when it's in yellow, you are using the software effects. If I hold the shift button down and hit the button there, I'm going to open up the menu for all of the parameters I can adjust. All right, now we can scroll through all of the different things here. We have our acapella and instant effects. If I press that in, you can have it so you hit the shift knob and then your particular stem, whether it's the acapella button or the instrumental button, and you'll get that echo out effect. Or I can switch it to primary, which is how I like to keep it. I like to keep it in primary mode. You hit the back button, it's going to bring you to the main menu. My silent cue, I already told you I had that on. I don't have it as a sensor, but let me show you. You press it in. It says swap sensor. And then you click it again, and it says yes. So now we can go backwards. Here's a great feature. You already have a crossfader cut in your Serato DJ software. You also have the adjustment of the cut on the front panel of this controller, and you have the crossfader curve adjustment inside the effects menu. So if I click on that, it says cut in left, cut in right. So I would press in the parameter button, and I have the cut in left at 3. Now I can put it at 0. So there is no cut. You have the tightest possible crossfader curve you can get with this controller. Now we'll hit this button back. We'll hit it down to go cut in right. Press that in. It's at 3. I'm going to put it all the way down to 0 as well. Press in the parameter button. I'm going to go backward. If for some reason what you set isn't to your liking, you can scroll back down and it says restore default, and it'll go back to the 3 that it came with from the factory. Now we have fader effects. You can turn the fader effects on or off. Let's go back button. We can go down. Now we're at our main meter. What do we want our main VU meter here to do? You can do post main, or you can do pre-mains. You can listen to it before it's going out to your audience or while it's going out to your audience. Let's take the joystick and hit it to the left. That's going backward. Now microphone, we can press that in, and you have the effect. So there's echo or reverb. I have it at echo. Let's hit that joystick back. We can go to effects depth. How much of it do we want to affect? I have it at 75%, the way it came from the factory, and it seems to do all right. If I go backward now with the joystick, we can adjust the echo feedback amount. So we'll press that in. It's at 100%. I'm going to put it all the way down to 75%. All right, we'll hit that joystick back. You can go reverb size. You can adjust the parameters of the reverb. I have it at 50%. That's how it came. That's how I'm leaving it. Joystick backward. We can go reverb perly. And that's the milliseconds, 60 milliseconds. You can go up or down. You can go all the way up to 100, I believe. Oh, no, even further. 120 milliseconds. I'm leaving it how it came at 60. Now your talk over, you press in the parameter button. Do you want the talk over on or off? Let's go backward. You can adjust the talk over level as well We'll press that in. It's at medium. I'll put it on low in case I ever do need to use it. You can do the talk over hold as well. How long do you want the music to be muted? They have it at 10. It can go all the way up to 20. I don't want that, so we're going down. Talk over hold. I'm putting it at 1. Let's go backwards. Now to the booth. You want the microphone to go through the booth? Absolutely. I want to hear what's going on in my DJ booth. I find that useful. So we'll go backwards. Do you want to hear it in the headphones? I have it on. I'm listening to it through headphones right now. We'll go backwards. Do you want the computer to hear your talk over? Now, this is a good feature because if you're recording a set and you're at a club that you have an MC or you have a hype man or anything, they want to shout out drink specials. Well, you don't want that on your mix. Let's say you're making a mix for you personally. Do you want all of that? Do you want, oh yeah, we're doing $5 margaritas? You want that on your mix? I don't think so. But if you're doing a live stream, that's where it's useful. So we're going to press that in. I have it on because I do record live streams through this controller. So we'll go backward. We'll go backward again. And those were all of the ways you can adjust just the microphone. There's so much you can configure in the effects. It's just mind-blowing. I'll go down and you see filter. And it's for your line and phono. Now, this is one of the great things. You plug in your turntables like I have. I can still use this filter knob and those 4 effects on a turntable or a CDJ. That's just fantastic that you can have an effect with an outboard piece of gear. I like that a lot. I'm going to press that in. You see it says resonance. I have it at 7. I leave it at that. That's what it came with from the factory. We'll go backward, backward again. Now it tells me my firmware. My controller firmware, it says it right there, 1.10.5. Let's go backwards. Your DSP, you press that in. And my DSP is 1.3.0.5. The motor is 5.10.0. So you can even have firmware updates for the motor. Your mag fader, it's 1.10.24. So there's firmware updates for just every part of this controller. And you can go to FX Reset. So if you had set up some different effects, let's say in these 6 buttons, you'll notice that it says save right there. Your 6 buttons don't have to be the labeled effects that are on there. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But if you want to reset back to factory specs, you would go into that. Factory reset. You would restore or you would cancel. We'll go backwards. Factory reset. Cancel. We'll go backward. Now that is a factory reset for the whole controller. Let's say you have this and you want to sell it. You've decided, I'm sending this back. I want to actually get the Performer. Well, you don't want your settings to go out to some stranger that may not like your settings. So you can just factory reset it. Fader effects, main meter, microphone, filter, firmware. Factory reset. All right, let us discuss the effects section. Now, if you've used the Rane Performer, it has the same effects. The same 29 effects that are in the Performer are in the Rane 1 Mark II. Now, there's a lot to go through here. If you want to access the effects, you would hold down any of these 6 effects button, hold it down, and then start scrolling. And you see the echo. It says echo. But if I want to change this to an echo out, I would scroll to echo out and then hold down the button, and you see it says effects saved in the echo. Now instead of it being an echo, it's an echo out, which is let's hit recycler, put that in the middle. Yeah, see, I don't know what that would be good for other than to put that on at the very end of the last song of the night, or the very end of the last song of a mix that you're making. Alright, since I don't like the recycler, I'm going to add something else to it. So I'm going to hold down the recycler button, effects saved. I'm going to go through the effects. There's recycler, reverb, rider. What's the rider? I don't know that one. So it's kind of like the recycler, just a little bit different. Resonance medium, yeah, that's about right. So I'm going to hold that in. I think I'd already saved. It did. Effects save. But that's how you would do it. You would just hold down any of these buttons, start scrolling through. You've got flanger. You've got your hold echo, matrix, mute, phaser, pitch on, pumper. I used to dance by that name back in the day. That's the pumper. It sounds like the recycler or the echo out. But what do I know? My ear isn't that discerning. Phaser, pitch on, pumper. Now we're at recycler, reverb, rider, riser, the roll, scale down, STTR out. I don't know what that is. I need to know. So that's the STTR out. I don't know what that STTR stands for. I have to admit. Hold down the button. We'll keep going. We were at STTR out. We've got the fader filter. Now, you can use the up faders to adjust fader filter. Let's hold down that button. Effects save. I'll be able to use the up and down fader to be a filter. Now it says there the type is high pass. You can also do the low pass. All right. Fader filter. Now fader pitch. Okay, my ears are bleeding now. Ooh, I shouldn't have tried that effect with the volume all the way up. Be warned, folks. Don't suffer like my left ear just suffered. It even says sine in C, so you can change that. Oh, the sine wave could be a D. Wow. Okay. That definitely needs a volume control. That's way too loud, even if you turn the level of the channel down. I could see that useful for DJ battles, but still. And that's it. That's the last one. So that is the 29 effects that you can adjust. If we take a look at the rear panel back here, you'll see that there is something new to the rear, and that is XLR outs for the booth. For professional uses, XLR is just the way to go. You've got your master out in XLR and RCA, which is what I'm using right now, going into my iRig Stream Pro. And here is the ground for turntables. You can put CDJs, whatever you want there. You have an auxiliary in that has its own volume control at the front panel, which I'll show you in a minute. You have your 2 microphones with combo jacks. That's excellent. You've got your A and your B USB plug-in, so you can put 2 different laptops, and you can switch with the switch I showed earlier. You've got your motor torque button right there. And over here on this end, there's your IEC power connector. There's the fan to keep this thing cool. And you've got a brushed aluminum power knob, which is just a nice attention to detail. It's not plastic. You know, Pioneer and everyone else pretty much can learn a thing with Rane. It's just nice. It's a nice tactile feel. When you touch it, it feels premium. And there is the tall feet. The feet are nice and high, so you could run cables right under it, which is what I'm doing. As you can see, there's a bunch of cables there now that I lifted it up. But having these high feet, it's really easier to get to. It doesn't hurt your back as much. You're not bending over quite as severe if you don't have it in a case. Having that is nice. Let's take a look at this front panel. Now the front panel, you can see it says Rane. You have your 1/8 headphone output. You've got your 1/4 headphone output. You've got your Q level. You've got your split Q button right there, off and on. You've got your Q mix, so you can listen to your Q or your main mix going out to the crowd. You have your crossfader contour right there. You can reverse or a hamster your crossfader. You have your deck 2 reverse for decks 1 and 2, and that's for the up faders along with the contour here. You can do a nice slow or fast contour of your up faders. If you want to scratch, you put it all the way on fast. If you want to do it backwards, instead of going from down to up to control your volume, you would go from up to down. Right next to that, they've given you a blue knob as a nice visual indicator that this is your sampler volume level. I wish it would have been up top somewhere, but having it right here isn't so bad. You get used to its placement. And right next to that, you have the controls for your 2 microphones. Microphone 1, you have your off and on. You've got your level control. You've got your low and you've got your high EQ. And you have the same with mic number 2. But mic number 2 could also be off or your auxiliary control. So you've got EQ control for an auxiliary input. Very nice. As far as build quality, this thing is all metal. This feels like it's going to last. The only time that this thing is going to not work is once Rane stops supporting it in a bunch of years, because, you know, Rane does that. Pretty much everyone does that. You know, as the software improves, you've got to stop offering support for older pieces of gear. And it's a great way to make a profit if you're the company owner. You're guaranteed people to come back every few years to buy a new piece of gear because the old one isn't supported. Now, the weight of this thing is just under 24 pounds, and you definitely feel it. It is a heavy feeling piece. The white color is going to throw some people off, but it's great if you put it in a piece of furniture. You know, you have one of those podium DJ booths that cost as much as a used Hyundai Elantra. You can bring it to an all-white party. Definitely use it for weddings. You know, that's important to the bride. The bride wants to make sure you have a white controller because her day would be ruined otherwise. If you show up with a black controller to a wedding, what is this, a funeral? Get the hell out of here, DJ. We're calling in Spotify. That bride will also be the same bride that gives you an extensive do not playlist. Don't play any line dances. Don't play anything fun. Don't play anything danceable. Don't play anything for anybody at any time or anywhere during these next 5 hours that you're with us. I hate that bride. So that's it. That is the Rane 1 Mark II. We've covered everything I could think of in here. If you feel like I didn't cover something or something that needs more detail or explaining, put it in the comments below. Or if you've discovered a feature that I haven't, put it in the comments below. I would love to hear what I've missed because there's so much on here. I believe it is possible that in the 2 weeks I've had this thing, I could have missed something. So if I find future updates or somebody has an update, I will upload a new video with that update or the feature that I didn't find on this one. One more thing I forgot that it's showing right now. If you're not using the controller for a while, for whatever reason, this screen turns white. What they didn't do with this controller is what other controllers do. They basically, after 10 or 15 minutes, the thing puts on like a light show. It goes into like demo mode, and the lights start to flicker and dance and do all that stuff. This controller doesn't do that, but the screen gets white. So that's your only indication. See, as soon as I touch the platter, it went away. It's letting you know now you're in play mode. If you found any value at all in this video, please hit the like button and the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time that I post a new tutorial or a new video up. And I want to thank everybody for all the love and positivity that I've received on this channel. We built a nice community here, and I'd like to keep that going because we're having a lot of fun with this. But that's it. You go out there, you master, and make money.